Howdy everybody and welcome back to the Game King. It has been over a month since our last episode because of what we'll simply describe as technological issues. I did get everything fixed around Thanksgiving, but I had a holiday and there was a devastating football game I had to attend to. Then the week after, I had finals and projects and a bunch of homework, and I thought, why not have our big return tie in with the Game Awards 2024? We have a special gold theme going on today to celebrate what might have been one of the greatest Game Awards presentations of all time. And for those of you that didn't know, this was actually the show's 10th anniversary, and it was absolutely fantastic. But let's not wait any longer and get straight into our recap of last night's amazing event. There is a lot of things to cover, so we're going to try to tackle this in chronological order, but I'll be saving the awards for last. The opening act had quite a bit of announcements, with the first being Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which is coming from Emu and the team behind the fantastic Metroidvania, Blasphemous. I'm really excited to see how they're able to take on one of the most iconic game franchises ever. We then had a run of indie game announcements with One Move Away, a game about packing stuff into a car, Slay the Spire 2, a sequel to one of the best indies of the last couple years, and Dave the Diver's brand new update titled In the Jungle. Then Warren Spector showed up with a brand new multiplayer game called Thick as Thieves, which will see you face off against players in stealing items. It definitely has Spector's flair to it, and while I think it has a lot of potential, I am a little nervous about it entering the multiplayer market. Probably the weirdest announcement of the pre-show, though, was Shadow Labyrinth, which seems to be an action side-scroller Metroidvania starring Pac-Man. If you've seen Secret Level's Pac-Man episode, this seems to be inspired by it, and I'll 100% be picking this up on day one, just for its weird factor. Also, the bots art got released, and, just look at this, it's beautiful. Following this announcement, we had a ton of thrilling games also shown off with Steel Paws, Tales of the Shire, Stallcraft Operations, Midnight Murder Club, Kiora, Rematch, which is a soccer game from the guys behind Sifu, and Solasta 2, which looks to be improving on the first in every single way. With a pre-show that good, it was no surprise how great the main show turned out. Jeff Keighley opened the show with a bang. That's not even getting into Harrison Ford showing up, but more on that later. The first announcement was The Witcher 4 from CD Projekt Red. We finally have official confirmation that Ciri will take over as the protagonist of the series, as we watch her stop a village girl from being sacrificed to the woods in what seems to be some sort of village ritual. We get to see Ciri take on the beast and slay it, and in typical Witcher fashion though, the girl is killed by the villagers when Ciri returns, leaving her to call them monsters. It looks absolutely amazing, and I have to shout out the wording at the start saying this was running on an unannounced RTX graphics card. Pretty cheeky from CD Projekt. No release window yet, but I think I speak for a lot of people when I say this is probably going to be an amazing game. IGN had a ton of exclusives with CD Projekt Red with a ton of info, like why they chose Ciri as the lead, so definitely go check that out on their website. The amazing stuff didn't stop with that first announcement though, as From Software announced Elden Ring Nightreign, a standalone adventure that will have you team up in 3-player co-op to take on, well as they put it, the night. It seems you'll be able to choose from different heroes, all with their own abilities, where you'll then be able to level them up and make them your own. It seems to be a roguelike experience where you'll have to survive for 3 days to get the chance to take on one of 8 major bosses. The concept seems pretty cool, and I think From Software might be cooking a really awesome multiplayer experience. Following that, we had an announcement that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming to PC on January 23rd, meaning more people will get the chance to play one of the year's best video games. We then had a trailer for the recently released Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which I've personally been playing a lot of, and so far, it might actually be my personal game of the year. To celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Game Awards, Gen Design, which might be better known as the former members of Team Ico who made Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, and The Last Guardian, shared a look at their upcoming project, which is currently untitled. We see a boy climbing up this robot and then shooting into the sky on its head as the body gets blown up, and We don't really know much, but I'm super excited for this one, even if it means we have to wait a long time like we did with The Last Guardian. What we don't have to wait a long time for is The Outer Worlds 2, which is apparently coming in 2025. Obsidian might actually be Xbox's best single studio purchase, as they are also putting out Avowed early next year. The sequel seems to be amping things up with more choices, more ways to fight, and some worlds that are looking absolutely amazing. As somebody that loved the first one and felt it had a lot of potential, I'm looking forward to see how Obsidian expands on this one. And as they point out in the trailer, Obsidian really does seem to make great second games. It's also really funny to see the humor is still just like... Immediately after that, Joseph Fares, the head of Hazelight Studios, who made 2021 Game of the Year, It Takes Two, came on the stage giving a fantastic speech as always. He announced the studio's next game, Split Fiction, which looks to be keeping that classic whimsical charm their games have become known for. Releasing on March 6th, the two-player adventure will see you playing as Mio, who is all sci-fi, and Zoe, who is all fantasy, while they try to fight their way out of their, what I can only describe as fan fiction simulations after getting trapped together. Everything Hazelight has put out has been top tier, so I can't wait to play this one. We had a couple of smaller announcements after this with Steel Hunters from Wargaming and Black Frost The Long Dark 2, which is set for a 2026 release. Then, Randy Pitchford, CEO of Gearbox, then took to the stage, and love him or hate him, he's definitely a personality, to officially unveil the trailer for Borderlands 4. And oh boy is it looking fantastic. The game will take place on Kairos, where our new Vault Hunters will face off against the Timekeeper, who is looking pretty evil as far as evil looking people go, and the Ripper Horde led by Queen Callus. The new Vault Hunters look like they'll have some pretty awesome abilities, and I think I'm stuck between two of them so far. The environments look great, and if the gameplay can improve upon 3's already very good gameplay, I think we're in for a good treat. I really can't wait to play this with my brother next year. Right after this, we had a trailer showing off Tekken 8's final Year 1 fighter, as Clive from Final Fantasy XVI will be joining the roster on December 16th, which means we get more Ben Starr as Clive, which is always a win. We then got a new look at Splitgate 2 and a live musical performance of the music from Arcane, which was absolutely beautiful. Then, the team at RGG Studio, the people behind the Like a Dragon series, went crazy with two announcements. The first was that Virtua Fighter is finally returning with a brand new entry. They even had a direct following the Game Awards to share some more info. Their second announcement was Project Century, which looks like the dream game that I never knew I wanted. It's set in 1915 Japan and looks like a way more in-depth classic Yakuza title with like an amp up like violence. There's also this one fight in the rain and it looks absolutely jaw-dropping. Rain is just so damn cinematic. Project Century easily has found a way to my most anticipated games list. Are you still with us? Because that was really like the first half of the show, so I'm gonna go a bit out of order here to speed things up and compile the biggest leftover announcements So we got Turok Origins, Helldiver 2's Omens of Tyranny update, Warframe 1999 launching right now, like you can go play it as soon as you're done watching this video. Power Daybreak update, the first Berserker Kazan getting a March 27th release date, Arad Dungeon Fighter, Dying Like the Beast, Stage Fright, which had an awesome presentation and is the new game from the Overcooked devs, which means I'm probably gonna hate playing it, even though I really want to love it, Game of Thrones King's Road, Double Dragon Revive, Screamer, which looks like an awesome racing game apparently, and it's a sequel or reboot to one from the 90s that I didn't even know existed, The Last of Us Part 2 releasing on April 3rd for PC, Den of Wolves, a live performance from Snoop Dogg himself, Sonic Racing Crossworlds, Crimson Desert, and an absolutely gorgeous trailer for Mafia: The Old Country, which is set to release in summer 2025, and Laura Bailey and Aaron Paul announcing their new game, Dispatch, together with chemistry that could win them both Oscars. To the leftover big stuff. Capcom made an appearance with two classic franchises getting brand new entries. The first was a trailer for Onimusha: Way of the Sword, the first new entry in, well, when it releases in 2026, 20 years. The small amount of gameplay we saw looks really freaking great, but their second game announcement made me cry. A live orchestra played on a trailer for what was simply referred to as a sequel to Okami. Hideki Kamiya is officially working with Capcom again, and has formed a new studio known as Clover's, a clever callback to Clover Studio. I know I've said this a lot, but I'm really excited for this, and it was really funny getting to see Keighley cry right before the announcement. And even with all that, the final announcement was still somehow able to be one of the biggest Game Awards reveals ever, as we got our first look at Naughty Dog's Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, the studio's 5th original IP following Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter, Uncharted, and The Last of Us. I loved this trailer, and I'm so happy to see Naughty Dog doing something that looks nothing like anything they have done before. But was that ever in doubt when the studio always takes a giant leap with every franchise they've ever made? The game's been in development since 2020 and will see you playing as Jordan Munn, a bounty hunter that ends up stranded on Semperia, a planet which has had no communication for hundreds of years. Tati Gabrielle will play Jordan, and there seems to be a stacked cast involved because some of the faces we see in the back, look recognizable. Not only is Naughty Dog's next game looking phenomenal, but the score will be done by Trent Reznor and Atticus frickin' Ross. There also seems to be this retro 80s vibe going on. We get the classic PlayStation and Naughty Dog logo at the end, and I'm not saying this is going to be the game of the decade or anything because we haven't really seen anything, but Naughty Dog, they kind of never miss. I can't wait to see what Neil Druckmann and the highly talented team at Naughty Dog end up making. Welcome to the awards rundown. I'm going to do a rundown of these with me taking pauses to pay respects to my favorite things. The opening act gave out 8 awards. Best Fighting Game went to Tekken 8. Best VR AR went to Batman Arkham Shadow. Shout out to the Arkham franchise, continuing to kill it. For esports, Best Esports Game went to League of Legends. Best Esports Athlete went to Faker. Best Esports Team went to T1. I was very happy to see Namada Studios Neva win the Games for Impact Award since they are just a fantastic studio. Innovation and Accessibility went to Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and Astrobot won its first award of the night with Best Family Game. The first award of the main show was absolutely amazing. Todd Howard and Troy Baker took to the stage to present Best Performance. As you know, Indiana Jones just released with Troy Baker voicing Indy. But then, out of nowhere, Harrison Ford joined the show and helped present the award. Easily one of my favorite moments ever, watching Harrison Ford complain about the teleprompter going too slow to Todd Howard and giving emotion, telling him to hurry it up. The winner of Best Performance and the person I was rooting the most for was Melina Juergens for Hellblade 2, which makes this her second Best Performance award, as she won for her performance in the first Hellblade 7 years ago. Best Action Game went to Black Myth Wukong. Most anticipated game is Grand Theft Auto 6, which I don't think anybody had a doubt about. Best Multiplayer went to Helldivers 2, and Best Community Support went to Baldur's Gate 3, adding yet another trophy to Larian's masterpiece. And one of the best moments ever, Keighley introduced the Game Changers Award, which went to Amir Setvat, who was able to help over 3,000 people find jobs in the games industry following the mass layoffs we have seen in the last couple years. His speech was phenomenal, and it's really great to see Keighley find a way to recognize the issues the industry has faced in a perfect way. I highly recommend watching Setvat's speech and take a couple tissues because it's, like I said, it's really beautiful. Best Art Direction and Best RPG went to Metaphor ReFantasio, which is completely deserved. Congrats to Atlas on getting some huge recognition. Best Game Direction went to Astrobot, another one for its big night. Best Debut Indie and Best Independent Game went to Balatro, which if you haven't played it, it's very addicting and was made by only one guy. Balatro also won Best Mobile Game. Best Content Creator went to Queso. Best Sports was EA Sports FC 25. Best Sim Strategy went to Frostpunk 2, very deserved, and Best Ongoing went to Helldivers 2. And my biggest wishes, Best Adaptation went to Fallout, a show that I easily thought was just a 10 out of 10, easily in my top 5 live action shows ever. But really, it was Ella Purnell that won, because she was also there to rep for Arcane, which deserved the award as equally. Congrats to Bethesda on the win. We now get to the last of the awards, where somehow everything that I wanted to win won. Best score went to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and 7's music deserves all the flowers it has gotten over the years, no matter how many times we see it get awarded for it. Best audio design went to Senua Saga Hellblade 2, and I'm so happy to see Ninja Theory's tech win because the audio in that game was just absolutely out of this world. Best narrative went to Metaphor ReFantasia, and while I haven't played it, I've heard that the game's narrative is literally one of the best ever, so I was rooting for it. And also, Sam Lake's presentation for that was just absolutely hilarious. Finally, we got to Game of the Year, presented by Swen Venke, the CEO of Larian Studios, who made 2023 winner Baldur's Gate 3. And his speech was actually really awesome to see, especially after all the stuff we've seen in the games industry. Just absolutely killer. After an amazing performance from the Game Awards Orchestra, Astrobot came out on top to take the crown for Game of the Year. It was great to see Team Asobi win big, and their speech on platformers being important really made me emotional as somebody that just loves platformers so much. Plus, them giving thanks to Nintendo and Mario without saying their names is really, really sweet. Congratulations, Team Asobi. Jeff Keighley put on the best ever Game Awards ever, and I think it really hits different since this was the 10th anniversary. As somebody who has watched every single one of these live, it's been an awesome experience getting to see it grow, and I can't wait to see what the next 10 years holds for the show. Maybe we'll be able to attend one of them. Special shout out to Statler and Waldorf, who gave some fantastic Muppety commentary throughout the night. With that very lengthy recap over, thank you for joining us. We'll be back in 2 weeks and for an end of the year episode. So remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified when new videos drop. I've been your host, Brandon Alanis. See you all soon.